There is a ghost in the machine. It is not a spirit from the other side. It is a ghost of your own making. A ghost of a moment that has passed, a day that is gone, a version of you that no longer exists. And yet, it is ruling your life. You feel it, don't you? The invisible wall that stops you just as you are about to succeed. The sudden, inexplicable tightening in your chest when you try to speak your truth. The pattern of relationships that play out the same tragic script, over and over with different actors but the same ending. You tell yourself you are broken. You tell yourself that this is just who you are. You tell yourself that the damage is done and the concrete has dried. But what if I told you that the concrete never dries? What if I told you that the most painful memories of your past, the trauma, the heartbreak, the humiliation, are not scars etched in stone, but living, breathing, electrical circuits that are waiting for permission to change? Neuroscience has recently confirmed something that was once considered impossible. They have discovered a biological edit button in the human brain, a specific window of time where a traumatic memory becomes soft, malleable, and capable of being completely erased or rewritten. This is not science fiction. It is a biological process called memory reconsolidation, and it is the key to deleting the old program and installing the future you deserve. This video is an operation. We're going into the operating system of your subconscious mind to locate the corrupted files that have been running in the background, draining your battery and crashing your system. We're going to bridge the gap between the hard science of the synapse and the spiritual art of healing. By the end of this journey, you will not just understand your trauma, you will have the precise protocol to dismantle it. You are not your past. You are the editor of your past. And it is time to cut the scene. Let us begin by understanding the enemy. The enemy is not the bad thing that happened to you. The enemy is the time loop. You see, the brain does not know the difference between the past and the present. To the primal part of your brain, the amygdala, the survival center, time does not exist. When you recall a painful memory, or when a trigger in your environment reminds you of it, your brain isn't just remembering, it is reliving. It fires the exact same chemical cocktail of cortisol and adrenaline that it fired the day the event happened. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your muscles tense. To your body, the trauma is happening right now. You are trapped in a hologram of yesterday. For decades, psychology told us that once a memory was formed, it was permanent. They called it consolidation. They believed that within a few hours of an event, the brain synthesized proteins that locked that memory into the neural structure forever, like ink drying on a page. They told us the best we could do was manage the symptoms. Cope. Talk about it. Medicate it. But we now know this was wrong. In the early 2000s, neuroscientists stumbled upon a glitch in the theory. They found that every single time you access a memory, every time you pull the file off the shelf, it becomes unstable. It becomes fragile. For a window of approximately 5 hours, the protein lock dissolves. The ink becomes wet again. This is the Reconsolidation Window, and it is the most important discovery in the history of emotional healing. It means that every time you remember your trauma, you have a choice. You can either resave it exactly as it was, reinforcing the pain and making the neural pathway stronger, or you can introduce new information. You can alter the emotional signature. You can literally change the physical structure of the synapse. If you interrupt the process correctly during this window, the brain fails to put the memory back together the same way. The facts of what happened remain. You don't get amnesia, but the emotional charge, the pain, the terror, the feeling of unworthiness is deleted. Gone. As if it never existed. Why haven't you done this naturally? Because your brain is a survival machine, not a happiness machine. Its number one priority is to keep you safe. And to your primitive brain, safety means remembering the danger. If you were bitten by a snake, Your brain wants to make sure you never go near a snake again, so it attaches a high-voltage wire of fear to the image of a snake. Every time you see a snake, you feel terror. This is a perfect system for the jungle. It is a terrible system for modern life, because the snake isn't a snake anymore. The snake is public speaking. The snake is trusting a new partner. The snake is asking for a raise. Your brain has attached a survival-level threat response to a non-threatening situation based on old data. Maybe you were laughed at in a classroom when you were 7 years old. Your amygdala tagged that moment as life-threatening. It locked it down. Now, 30 years later, you walk into a meeting room and you freeze. You can't speak. You hate yourself for it. You think you are weak. You are not weak. You are running an outdated software program that thinks the meeting room is a predator. The spiritual cost of this is immense. When you are living in a state of chronic survival, you cannot create. You cannot manifest. We spoke in previous videos about the observer effect and the power of your frequency. Trauma is the ultimate frequency blocker. It locks your vibration into the lower states of fear, shame, and guilt. It creates a destructive interference pattern in your field. You can visualize abundance all day long, but if your nervous system is wired for danger, your broadcast is static. To become the conscious creator of your reality, you must first liberate your nervous system from the tyranny of the past. You must reclaim your energy from the ghosts of yesterday. So how do we do it? How do we hack the reconsolidation window? It is not enough to just talk about the memory. In fact, traditional talk therapy can sometimes make it worse. If you just sit and recount the painful story over and over, you are simply activating the memory, feeling the pain, and then resaving it with the same pain. You are deepening the groove. You are practicing your suffering. To unlock the memory, you need a specific key. That key is called the Mismatch Experience. Neuroscience shows that the only way to unlock a synapse is to create a prediction error. The brain is a prediction machine. It uses the past to predict the future. When you recall a traumatic memory, your brain predicts, "This is dangerous. I am helpless. Pain is coming." To open the window for rewriting, you must expose the brain to the memory, but at the same time, expose it to a sensation or realization that completely contradicts the old prediction. You must create a collision between the old fear and a new safety. The brain cannot hold two opposing realities at once. It creates a state of confusion, a window of lability. In that moment of confusion, the old neural pathway crumbles, and a new one can be built. Let's slow down and look at the anatomy of a trauma. Trauma is not in the event. It is in the isolation. Gabor Mate, a leading expert on trauma, says, "Trauma is not what happens to you, but what happens inside you in the absence of an empathetic witness. When the bad thing happened, you felt alone. You felt overwhelmed. You felt there was no escape. That feeling of I am alone and unsafe is the glue that holds the trauma together." Therefore, the mismatch experience almost always involves introducing a presence, a safety, or a power that was not there the first time. We are going to walk through the protocol now. This is a method you can use on yourself in the privacy of your own mind. It requires courage. It requires a willingness to feel, but the reward is freedom. Phase 1. The activation. You must briefly touch the hot stove. You cannot heal what you do not feel. Find a quiet space. Close your eyes. Bring to mind a specific recurring trigger or a memory that haunts you. Maybe it's the moment of rejection, the moment of failure, the moment of fear. Do not replay the whole movie. Just find the worst part, the climax of the pain. Freeze frame that image. Now, scan your body. Where does that memory live? Is it a tightness in the throat? A knot in the stomach? A heaviness in the heart? This somatic sensation is the bridge It is the physical evidence of the neural pathway. Focus on that sensation. Rate it from 1 to 10. Let the feeling be there. Do not push it away. You are simply notifying your amygdala. I am opening this file. Phase 2. The resource. Now, step back. Imagine you are stepping out of that scene and into a safe, neutral space, a sanctuary. Now, I want you to call upon a resource. This is a source of strength, love, or power that you did not have back then. It could be your adult self, the wise, capable person you are today. It could be a spiritual figure, a mentor, an ancestor, or simply a blinding light of universal love. Feel the energy of this resource. Feel the competence, the safety, the power. Breathe it in until you feel a physical shift in your body, until you feel strong. This is the antidote. Phase 3. The mismatch, the time travel. Now we rewrite the code. In your imagination, take this resource, this adult self, this protector, and travel back in time. Walk into the memory. Walk into the scene where your younger self is terrified, alone, or hurt. But this time, the scene is different. Because you are there, see your adult self stepping between your younger self and the threat. See yourself stopping the abuse, speaking the words that were never spoken, stopping the humiliation, holding the inner child. Look into the eyes of your younger self in that scene and say, I am here now. I have you. You are not alone. It is over. This is the mismatch. Your brain expects the memory to end in pain and aloneness. Instead, you are giving it a new ending. Safety and connection. Feel the relief in your younger self's body. Feel the shock of the brain realizing, wait, I am safe? Someone came for me? Hold this new ending. Let the feeling of safety and rescue wash over the old feeling of terror. Imagine the old scene dissolving, turning into mist, being replaced by this new scene of safety. Phase 4. The installation. Stay in this new scene for at least 15 seconds. This is the time required for the new proteins to synthesize. Breathe deeply. Feel the new reality. Feel the anti-self dissolving, replaced by a unified, protected self. Now, open your eyes. Look around the room. Orient yourself in the present moment. Go back to the memory. Try to find the pain. If you have done this correctly, the sting will be gone. The memory will feel distant, like a faded photograph, rather than a high-definition movie. The emotional charge has been deleted. This is not just imagination. This is neurology. You have just hijacked the reconsolidation process. You opened the file, you edited the data, and you hit Save on a new version. The old neural pathway has been physically disconnected. This protocol applies to more than just big T trauma. It applies to the little t traumas that shape your identity. The time you were told you were stupid. The time you were told money is scarce. The time you were told you were too much or not enough. These micro-traumas are the bricks in the wall of your limiting beliefs. Imagine if you spent 10 minutes a day locating these bricks and dissolving them. Imagine if you systematically went through your timeline and rescued your younger self from every moment of shame. What would happen to your personality? Dr. Joe Dispenza says, your personality creates your personal reality. Your personality is made of your memories. If you change your memories, you change your personality. And when you change your personality, you change your personal reality. You literally shift timelines. In quantum physics, there is a concept called retrocausality. The idea that the present can influence the past. When you perform the Reconsolidation protocol, you are engaging in psychological retrocausality. You are reaching back and altering the energetic weight of the past. And by changing the past, you free up the energy that was trapped there. Think of how much energy you spend every day repressing, managing, and coping with these old wounds. It is like running a marathon with a 50-pound vest. When you delete the trauma, you take off the vest. Suddenly, you have a surplus of energy. You have energy to create, to dream, to love, to live. This is the true meaning of shadow work. It is not about wallowing in the dark. It is about bringing the light of consciousness into the dark room and realizing there are no monsters there, only wounded parts of yourself waiting to be retrieved. The inner critic we spoke of in other videos. That is just a protector. It is a part of you trying to prevent the trauma from happening again. Once you heal the trauma, the critic has no job. It retires. It transforms from a critic into a cheerleader. You must understand that you are self-correcting. Your system wants to heal. The natural state of your body is health. The natural state of your mind is clarity. The natural state of your spirit is joy. Trauma is an interruption of that natural state. It is a blockage in the flow. You do not need to add anything to yourself to become whole. You simply need to remove the blocks. You need to untie the knots. Do not identify with your trauma. It is not my trauma. It is the trauma. It is a pattern of energy stored in your tissue. It is not who you are. Who you are is the awareness that is noticing the trauma. Who you are is the surgeon holding the scalpel. Who you are is the light that dissolves the shadow. There is a version of you, a quantum possibility, that is completely free of the past. A version of you that walks with head held high, heart open, unafraid of rejection, unafraid of failure, completely secure in your own worth. That version of you exists right now in the field. The only thing separating you from that version is the weight of these old memories. Drop the weight. The past is a memory. The future is a fantasy. The only reality is now. And in this now, you have the power to rewrite the code. You have the power to delete the file. You have the power to be free. This is the work. It is not easy work. It is the work of a warrior. But it is the only work that matters. Because when you heal yourself, you heal your lineage. You heal your ancestors who couldn't do this work. You heal your children who won't have to carry this burden. You become a circuit breaker in the chain of pain. Take a breath. Feel the space around you. Feel the lightness of possibility. The cage door is open. It has always been open. You just had to realize that you were the one holding the key.